Okie dokie. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in. Bogger, how very mean. You killed me. Alrighty. Let's get our morning love rocket run out the way. We'll jump into Satisfactory in a minute. Let's get this out of the way. I also spotted, or I was actually lurking in K-Chak's stream last night, and noticed that Avowed comes out soon. And by soon, I mean, I think tomorrow. Yeah, cookies, whatever. This thing comes out tomorrow. 13th of February. This was added to Battle.net a while ago. New RPG kind of game. I'm tempted to pick up a copy of this and have a play. It's going to be on Game Pass as well. So I've got two options. I either buy the premium edition to get the early access to it when it comes out tomorrow, or we wait a few days. But I've not seen much about it, if I'm honest. I'm not sure if it's going to be... I need to watch a review or something for it. I'm sure there's some early gameplay reviews out there just to see if it's... It looks aesthetically very pleasing. It's giving me satisfaction. I think it's done in Unreal Engine 5, so I suspect it's going to look pretty good. But I've contemplated that. That might be something to do tomorrow. Let's get WoW open real quickly. Plus, we also have 11.1 launching. We have 11.1 release date now, which is nice. Oh, why is the wife calling me at this hour? I should answer this. She knows I stream at this hour, so I should probably answer. Please hold. Alrighty. Turns out it wasn't urgent at all. Always the way. Right, let's get in. Let's get our rocket kill for the day. We might get the pasta in Satisfactory finished today. I feel that we're nearing the end of our initial playthrough of Satisfactory. Now, I know there's a few aspects of the game I haven't really touched on, e.g. like uranium fuel and plutonium and fixonium and whatever the hell it is, the further generators of power. So I might want to investigate those a little bit. But I think for the most part, after 150 hours, we're nearly running towards our conclusion of at least this first playthrough of Satisfactory, which has been fun. With the new 11.1 release date being 25th of February, a couple of weeks from today, 2 weeks from today, gives us a bit of a timeline to maybe jump on the PTR now it's release candidate, have a little look at some stuff, make sure that everything is kind of as we expect. The real frustration for me is that there doesn't seem to be much coming in 11.1 that's particularly Goblin focused. Oh, this guy still hasn't had his Nerubian Alchemist hat being made. I've got this on a character. I just don't know which character it is, and I can't remember. It's probably... Oh, I don't know. How's the pasta not done? You must have made over 1,000 spaghetti builds already. We have made quite some. Don't I need 2 orders for this? Alright, we'll do that one. What did you want? I mean, I could craft both of those, but I'm busy. Let's get John crafting done real quick. Is guild order on this? No, it's just that the screen is weird. Wow, those orders are poo-poo. Lady Daisy, how we doing? Welcome in. Good morning. Oh, I needed to do 3 jewel crafting ones. 3 leatherworking ones. Oh, well, that'll have to wait. That'll have to wait. Right, I think my coffee's also done. Might be coffee time. Look at this! Look at this wonderfully pink looking cow. Beautiful. Got to call upon all of the. Got to put the pink lovers in the air costume on to increase your loot luck. Factual. Popping off as well, that pink cow. Holy. Boom. Come on, today's the day. Today's the day. You ready? Stream of luck incoming. Today's the day. Never lucky. Stupid game. It's just not going to happen, is it? It's because we didn't drink coffee first. I got to drink coffee first because that apple juice is really sour. Oh my God. Right, there we go. Let's go hand those quests in. I'm missing a leatherworking one. That'll have to wait. Done with all the EZ weekly knowledge points for my crafters and gatherers. Now it's just time for the gathering stuff. Yeah, I'm still hardcore lazy with this, if I'm honest. I'm big slack on a lot of this now. I'm over the hill as far as I'm concerned with my professions, such as that the only gaining of knowledge points from this point on is for stuff I'm not really bothered about. I'll continue with it. I'll stick with it for the purpose of like filling the trees, but I'm past the need for more knowledge points, if that makes sense. Cap that out. In most cases, I'm just filling spare nodes at this point. And I've even stopped caring where I spend them. I'm just spending them because I know that we're going to get a reset. So if anything really desperately problematic jumps out at me, we're going to have a quick fix for it. Makes the whole system even more simplistic as far as I'm concerned. Right, that was WoW for the day. That was reset day. Job done. Reset day, done. Right. Let's get the pasta cooking. As the title of the stream says. Loading Satisfactory. I wonder how many hours our save is now. Have we crossed the 150 mark? Caught up on my scribe engineering and enchanting. The rest will just catch up in time. I'm pretty much like that with most of them now. That it will eventually just happen. I'm not in too much of a rush for it to happen. I don't have the dedication to it, unfortunately, anymore. Okay. One of the power grids is blown. Clearly not our main one, right? I plonked one of these down yesterday, since I had a bonus few sloops lying around. Dropped one of these down just to see what the crack was with these. Because, of course, you can feed these alien power matrices now for an additional boost. I don't know what that additional boost does. I don't know what the effect of putting an alien power matrix in there is. But we can make them, so I feel like I probably should. 5 SAM triangles, 3 power shards, 3 crystally doodahs, 24 energized juice, and you get dark matter residue as a byproduct. Okay, well we can automate those, and we can get them plumbed into an alien power matrix, I suppose. I also spent a little bit of time yesterday trying to sort of tender love on, giving some TLC, some tender loving care to our rocket fuel plant. Mostly because I was in dire need of more power. You can see it just in the yonder. So we should have a little bit more power available to us, but we don't really have much headroom anymore. This is why we probably should look at the next stage of power, but I'm within 600 pastas of completing phase 5, so I'm really tempted to just push for that as much as we can. I've got nuclear pasta cooking, 100% uptime, cooking its pasta nice and fast, 2.5 minutes on this. Fully slugged and slooped. And on top of that, our singularity cells have backed up now, so they're not even consuming any bonus nuclear pasta. I've not used any of the portals yet, because I don't really have much of a need for the portal so far, but we've got plenty of singularity cells to run a portal if needed. And we have... well, this will be... We're nearly halfway with the pastas, so there's no reason this isn't going to run at 2.5 a minute. So it's just a numbers game, isn't it? 500... is that... we need... Divide that by 2.5 per minute. 200 minutes. It's literally 3 hours away from just being done. We're 3 hours away from the game sort of automatically completing itself at this point, which is cool. It means we can tinker with a few things, try and fix a few production lines, presumably today, or we can just completely ignore that and go off in another direction. Maybe look at nuclear? I am tempted to look at nuclear. I think the moving components in nuclear will make it quite fun. Kind of feel that at this point that the current crafting system is actually more boring than when it was before the rework. In my opinion, classic Wrath era and Legion were great for crafting. Loved all the quests and the tiers of items. I was thinking about this a little bit, and I don't really think that it's the cause of the revamp of the professions. I think it's additional changes that have happened that have actually neutralized most people's ability to enjoy professions. Let me grab my coffee and I might explore the reasons why. Firstly, the fact that we had the merger of the auction house for materials and consumable items and whatever has had a significantly large effect on profitability of anything that you craft, regardless of what goes into crafting it. So, like, anything that you look at crafting, or even gathering, to be fair, margins and profitability is being squeezed from a very, very strong pressure from above to push the prices of everything down, because everybody's selling everything in the same arena. That is a huge contributing factor to the reason why people are finding it much, much, much harder to make any profit from their crafting. That fundamentally, it's harder to sell. Not harder to sell it, but harder to sell it profitably. Certainly in comparison to what it was in past expansions, where every single realm was its own microeconomy. That, adding on to the fact that most crafting is now heavily focused towards work orders, or at least a good percentage of craft ordering is focused towards work orders, and has completely taken the auction house out of the mix, has turned crafting into a service industry, which has its own problems when you can't adequately differentiate yourself that well in a service industry in a video game. Not with how we have it right now. I mean, the only way for you to advertise your wares is spamming trade chat, and if you spam trade chat, you run the risk of getting banned. What a fucking wonderful system that is, right? It's kind of problematic in that regards, I think. So it's really difficult to look at, like, even a couple of expansions ago, even Shadowlands, right? It's really difficult to compare, like, Shadowlands to what we have today, because the landscape is so different. So different. I think if we had individual servers, micro server based economies like we had in the past, plus today's new crafting system, crafting would be incredible. Crafting would be incredible. The issue is we're all, like, there's only so many winners that can happen when everybody sells in the same arena, because there's only so many people who will buy the stuff, and, you know, profit margins are just going to get nuked into the floor. You also see way less people even bothering these days, which is wild to me. Take a look at the amount of materials. Take a look at I don't know, bismuth. Add up the quantity of bismuth on the auction house right now and compare that to what was on just a single server back in Shadowlands, for example. There is a fraction of the materials in existence these days, like a single digit fraction. There was 10 times more stuff posted for sale when every server had its own microeconomy. So that's a clear indication that significantly less people are even bothering. So it's a combination of factors, I think. But I don't actually think that the revamp of the crafting, in terms of adding quality and multi-craft and resourcefulness, has really anything to do with it. I think it's external factors that have changed it a lot more. That's my take on it, at least. Let me go and have a little bit of a poke around. I want to check my fuel, rocket fuel, real quick, because I added and did some tweaks and adjustments and fixed a few dodgy belts and badly connecting pipes and the likes. And infrastructure-wise, the rocket fuel factory is basically finished, but it does mean it should be producing. It has the capability to produce about 90,000 megawatts of power. And if it's not, it means there's an inefficiency in it somewhere that I need to find. We need to extract it. It should be a nice, solid line across the top. Our power should be relatively stable at all times. Demand will fluctuate, but this grey line across the top should be pretty much solid horizontal. Plastic is backing up, rubber is backing up. So if I look at some of my numbers real quick, we were taking 1,500 per minute crude oil out the ground. We were then plugging 1,500 per minute at a consumption rate of 60 per minute into 25 refineries. Now, I only actually placed down 24 refineries, so this is going to affect the numbers going forward from that. But that should mean that the crude oil should be fully backed up. We should have more crude oil in supply than what we're able to consume. But what should be happening is that all of these run basically 100%. Now the crude oil buffer is only 1,500, 1,800, 1,900. These aren't full, which I am led to believe that if we are actually truly producing the crude oil, where is it? And why isn't it making its way there? I put some valves here to make sure that it doesn't slosh back into this, in fairness, avenue of chaos. But let's just check that we've got 150 through you, 300 through you. So that's only 450 in total. What comes through you? 150 and 75. So there's even less that comes through that. That means... okay, that belt, that pipe and that pipe, to be fair, does actually add up to more than what this join can actually withstand. So maybe there is some slight flow rate issue here. Maybe this should be reconfiguring my bobbed to go here. And then we will have whatever comes from here, which is 150 and 75, basically nothing. Then plus whatever comes from here. This is 600. Oh, okay, so that needs a dedicated line. That needs a dedicated line by itself. This actually leads me to believe that these 4... can we get away with these 4 being connected? 150, 75, 75, that's 300, 450. Right, okay, those can be sufficient. Going through a single pipe. And predominantly through here. I'm not convinced we need these here. That they could be causing problems. Based on how the pipeline junctions work, it should be fine. Like if a junction has 400 in and 300 in, it should work and split output equally, 350, 350. So we're saying that the junctions aren't limited to the same pipeline throughputs. So whereas a pipe can hold 600, a junction could in theory take 1,200. Is that what we're saying? It could have 600 in on both and 600 out on both. Okay. Well, either way, this is slightly more evenly distributed from an input perspective than it was 10 seconds ago anyway. That means we should be getting 600 per minute flow rate through each of these pipes. It dips occasionally. they are doing what I think they should be doing. That should in turn mean that these three, when we get to here, have an even chance of filling up properly. And if there's overflow from one, it can distribute through these, although it shouldn't necessarily need to. Okay, that looks to be sort of fixing itself. We could probably do with ensuring that we have some flow valves here just to limit sloshiness. In terms of you go in there, you go in there, and you go in there. We don't want the crude oil circling back round. We want to make sure that it's pushed this way. Page 6, image 2 is where all my knowledge comes from. I hope the wikis are... oh, links to wikis are okay. Yeah, sure. Let me have a little look. The Fix-It Plumbing Manual, a guide to pipelines? Okay. What did you... Where are we looking here? You said page 6, image 2. Is this an official document, or is this something somebody's made? Page 6, image 2. Pipe basics, flow management. The setup has been built with Mark 1 pipes. Mark 1 pipes can carry 300 per minute. Each output pipe needs 100 per minute. Will it work? 300 in, 300 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, in theory, it should work, because there is no constraint at any point on the pipes for throughput reasons. Whether it will distribute itself evenly is, in theory, it will work, but distribution may not be equal. If your answer was yes, you are correct. The 300 a minute on the left are exactly enough to feed the first 3 outputs. Same for the right side. In fact, the middle pipe isn't even needed, so it can be built like above. That is assuming that you flow rate limit these to 100. If they're not flow rate limited, you might have the problem where the 300 just passes straight through and these two get strangled and get nothing. What about this network then? Each output needs 150 per minute. Well, you're going to have a problem that the 300 coming in here can split that way, but then it's going to collide with 300 here. Yeah, you're going to have problems with this. 150, 300, 150, 300, 100. I mean, once again, in theory, it should work, but in practice, it probably won't. It might seem like there'll be bottleneck issues, but that's not correct. The reason junctions have no flow rate limit. Oh, okay. It can take massive amounts in and massive amounts out. Okay. At no point is there ever more than 300 in a single pipe. Okay. So I'm guessing then, not that we have proper 2 in, 2 out splitters in this game. But kind of similar to splitters, that splitters and mergers tend not to care too much about what's in them at any one point. It's not an official guide, but the wiki and the Reddit approves it. Okay, fair. Now here's something different. We have 8 pipes each as inputs. 100 a minute, so 800 a minute in total. How many pipes is needed to transfer all of this off? 2. 2 tier 2s, or 3 tier 1s.
Innkeeper of Moonglade says, "Oh no, WoW today."
We were doing WoW for 20 minutes
today. A change of pace is quite refreshing, wouldn't you say? Perhaps it's time to expand the factory instead.
We got our love stick running for the day. We were never lucky. But welcome in, welcome. Just used 3 output pipes. The reason these numbers look weird is because pipes try to have equal pressure everywhere. Here, work pressure divides over 3 outputs, so each output gets 800 divided by 3, which is 266 apiece. Is the distribution equal, though, even if the pressure's there? This pipe network should be familiar to you. It's the ideal ratio for water extractors to coal generators, 3 to 8. And once again, nowhere does any pipe ever exceed the 300 a minute. Yeah, that's assuming that you push in from the front and the back.
Jack the Dipper
so
says,
that they can meet
"Shut
in the
up,
middle.
chat."
The meeting in the middle.
Dear, someone seems a bit cranky. Remember to keep calm and carry on, Jack. Perhaps a
Keep
bit of
calm and
factory
carry
building
on.
in Satisfactory will help you relax. The factory must grow, after all.
Good morning, Jack. Welcome in. Welcome. Alright, sure. This could be a handy PDF to have in the back pocket. We'll keep that aside for now. In theory, though, that should allow for, and it is now proving to be such, that these are filling up now that we've turned up. So there was definitely some throughput limitations here, even though... See this is where I'm not 100% convinced, because it didn't work before I made these 2 subtle changes, and it now works flawlessly after. Now, it could just be the valves making sure the pressure and cutting the sloshing out, but I do kind of suspect that there is more going on to these junctions than that document leads to suggest. I don't know. Maybe the 3 valves here have fixed things a touch, but either way, these should be absolutely pumped, which means in turn every single one of these should be absolutely blasting now. What may need to be done is we may need to see what the ratio stands when we go to here. I think we have one less refiner than we technically need, but we have the right amount of blenders, I think. Let me go check the numbers again real quick. They were on the board, weren't they? But either way, it seems like we have smoothed out the supply of crude oil there, such as that we are now actually supplying more than we're consuming, which is by design. Where's me notice board of goodies gone? Where's me boards gone? Oh, wait, hang on. We went too far. This area is getting so industrial now, I kind of can't see the proper landscape anymore. Right, so the crude oil coming in is now being quote-unquote fixed. 25 refineries is what we can actually support, yet we are only actually using 24. That means we're producing 24 times 40 is what we're actually well, hang on. 24 times 40 is what we're actually producing. We're actually only producing 960 fuel a minute. So there should actually then be 10 blenders converting the fuel to rocket fuel, but we've gone with a build of 9 just because it fits nicer. And 9 blenders at 150 each. We'll double check that they actually get enough fuel in a minute, but 9 times 150 is 1350 rocket fuel. 1350 rocket fuel, divide that by 10.42, I believe it is the speed of the consumption when slugged. Means we should be able to support 129 fuel burners, and we've got 120 currently. So 120 times the 250 output. No. 250 multiplied by 2.5, because we've slugged them, is 625 per. 625 multiplied by the 120 we've got. 75,000. 75,000. Wow, okay, that's slight. One less refinery and one less blender is, in essence, and with not building the full amount of these, means we've gone from 75 to actually only being able to produce 75,000. So as long as we're getting a steady 75, plus the 11 we get from turbo fuel down below. Okay, this actually does look as if it's working as it should be, doesn't it? Okay. When it comes to power, I like to live by the theory of, like, every step of the process, I want the step before to slightly overproduce what is consumed. So, like, I want to be producing slightly more crude oil than I'm able to process. I want to produce, preferably, slightly more fuel than my blenders can process. I want to produce slightly more rocket fuel than I can burn off. This ensures that everything, all of the pipes and everything fully back up, and is the easiest way I've found to fix and find and ensure that there is stability in the system. For example, now I would suspect by this point every one of these to be, okay, these aren't actually all equally full. They're being pumped up. I think this could do with some valve. Okay, I've put valves right at the end here. That means all of this is still sloppy Joe. I reckon there's a need for valve on this side. Now this is elevated, which means gravity should probably do the job for me here, but it would also make sure that it doesn't slosh back in. If these are rocket fuel, you don't need pumps on a wall. You might be right with that, actually. I think I just put them there out of, I mean, they look cool. You're right, it's a gas, it shouldn't make any difference. It's a gas, it shouldn't make any difference. Valves, on the other hand, will prevent it from coming back and sloshing too much. Right, but in theory, all of these should just be on. We're under... Oh, now you see we've got some that are not on. Why would we have some that are not on? They're not on because these are not backing up with rocket fuel. Even though, by my calculations, there's no reason that they shouldn't. That's got an absolutely pitiful flow rate. $317 a minute. The flow rate should be higher than that. Is the flow degradation over the length of the pipe? This is another 317, 318, 321, 321. That's within margin of error. 317. There's, what did I say? There's 40 per level. $40 multiplied by their consumption rate of 10.42 means they should be consuming 416 per minute. So the flow rate does need to be higher than what it's expressing here. So we do still have flow rate issues somewhere. I think this manifold is maybe causing me some issues. So let's make sure that that isn't too problematic. So that this little manifold can fix itself from the 3 fluid buffers. The fluid buffers aren't filling up either. Let's go back to basics and double check that none of these have any significant problems. Let's check for 100% uptime. 100% uptime on them all should ensure that they are getting the fuel they need, the materials. This has only got 70% uptime. This seems to be struggling on sulfur. How and why would this be struggling on sulfur? It might have something to do with that the sulfur belt doesn't look particularly healthy, does it? Compared to what's going on over there. Why is this sulfur belt looking so poor compared to that one? Have we got a dodgy low-grade belt in here somewhere that's causing sulfur bottlenecks? Oh, wait, hang on. We've got Mark 5 lifts on the go here. Mark 5 lifts on the go instead of Mark 6. Shouldn't, in essence, cause a problem for sulfur, but it might have a knock-on effect elsewhere. We do need 1,000 per minute, so we do need the full throughput of a Mark 6. That shouldn't have made a vast amount of difference. But maybe it slows down something else and it's a knock-on effect. Although both of these are not looking overly healthy by the time that the first ones had first dibs. So we got some sulfur issues. Yeah, we seem to have some sulfur issues. Yep, these are not running 100% efficiently like they should. And sulfur is clearly the bottleneck on all of them. Right, okay. How much have we been... Did I make sure up? Yeah, the upstairs ones are all the right rank. This, I am led to believe, should be a fully compressed belt. Now, this belt not being fully compressed is clearly where my issue lies. So if that's not fully compressed, is it because, or should I say, why is it because? It's not looking fully compressed here either. Why are we not getting full belt compression? Looks good here. So where's it slowing down and why? Yeah, this definitely doesn't look like it's fully compressed. Because a fully compressed tier 6 belt should have no gaps between the materials. Maybe sulfur's not fully compressed. Okay, exploration time. I mean, it kind of looks like it is. It'll be one flipping... It'll be one stupid belt lift or something, won't it? I'm pretty sure I've checked this already before, you know, as well, which is the thing that's most frustrating me. I'm pretty sure I'd already diagnosed this. We only need 1,000. We don't need full 1,200, but it is only going to take one piece of rank 5 belt to fuck it all up, because rank 5 belt... There we go. Shit. I did come back here once upon a time to fix this, didn't I? And you know what I didn't have at the time? Time crystals. I didn't have enough time crystals to upgrade these properly. Which those have meant... I wonder what the one at the very top is as well. Oh, hang on. I ain't never going to get up here on a single tank, am I? Or am I? Yeah. There she is. There's our bottleneck. And all the way from the top, it was never going as planned. I'd ran out of time crystals way back in the day, and so I never finished this. Right, now you can run your 1200 per minute. And this will also be backed up, so we'll have a nice little backlog of this as well. Okay. Double check, fully slugged, 1200 a minute, happy as pig in shit. Right, there we go. There we go. How we doing, Pack B? Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Do these poo cloud things respawn then? Because I swear I deleted all of these. Oh, that was bad news. Come at me, B. Come at me. Boom. Right, I'm killing time for 2 minutes just while I wait for the sulfur to make its way back to the base, that's all. What better way to kill time than by killing bees? There we go. Global domination is mine. Oh, fucking bees, man. Okay. Okay. Mother Nature, cleansed. Coffee out. Serious business now. Serious business. Right, sulphur's already looking healthier here, look. Now, we should technically have a bit spare. Not that I need a bit of spare, because actually my entire turbo fuel setup should predominantly be happy running just off the compacted coal that is produced from all the rocket fuel, if my mathematical numbers are precise. I tend to be pretty good at doing the maths for these sorts of builds. Maybe not so good at the execution. But already we can tell, look, here we go. Sulfur for days. Now we're cooking. Now that's going to mean that we are actually able to keep all of these on 100% of the time. And they should cook more rocket fuel than we're able to consume, which was clearly where our bottleneck was before. Not in all the pipe work. Not in all of that business. We should start to see a net positive increase in all of this, as these should now be filling more than we're consuming. That does seem to be the case. There seems to be a relatively, not stable, but consistent positive net gain on the supply in them. And given a few minutes, these will then fill up, and then that will make compressed pipes. And compressed pipes fixes many a problem. One of which was that we were having funky flow rate issues with these, which now seem to be fixing themselves. We're now 400 plus, which is where we needed. Can't remember the exact number, but it seems better. So give it a little bit of time, because time will fix this. Assuming there's no more bottlenecks, give it a little bit more time and this line should start to flatline a bit as all of these maintain permanent uptime, not flipping 15% uptime. But we've got to let those things cook a minute. We could, if I really wanted, overclock one of these to give me 80. Which will in turn mean we can overclock one of these with one power shard. Where's the rest of me power shards? Overclock one of these as well to act the equivalent of two machines, keeping our ratios to the 25-10, which would produce the full 1500 per minute rocket fuel, which without increasing any of this is now substantially more than we need, which should help fill the flow rate, and we can support that with the amount of crude oil we have. So yeah, I start to feel that this is a thing that once the pipes compress, once these buffers compress, it should remove most of, if not all of the flow rate issues. Cleanse nature by paving over it all. Paving over it all also works. I want to, like, there's part of me that wants to build more, because there's part of me that wants to cross the 100,000 megawatt barrier, because that's just a cool barrier to surpass. We should be able to do it. In fact, it probably should happen already now. With what we've got, we get 11k from turbo fuel as long as that's running 100%, which it should do because that's freaking easy these days. Or we might not hit 100% because we might not be getting quite enough out of our 3 levels of rocket fuel consumption here. Let's do a touch of maths again. Um, 10.42. Flipping hell. $144. 144 fuel powered generators is actually what we can fuel with what we've got right now. We've only built 120. So we should have room for 24 more, technically, in theory. I don't need much more at 1.21 gigawatts time travel kicks in. Oh, that's true. That's true. And we just go to the future where we've won. Yeah, very true. I think I stand more of a chance of losing all my hair rather than it going long and white, unfortunately, and going like Doc. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull off the haircut. Uh, 10.416675, actually, not 10.42. Satisfactory has display issues for detailed numbers. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, this is why I like to make sure that I always push more into a system than the system's able to consume. It means any rounding issues like that don't become an issue. Make the maths easier given the choice. I would actually underclock each of these just to make it to around 10 rocket fuel per thing, but it would still use the same amount of shards, and it takes significant time to go through them all and manually configure that, so I just can't be bothered. But it would make a lot more sense if you tweak it so that they consume exactly 10 rocket fuel. And in fact, working towards integers like that, it might actually help with the simulation of the game. Just thinking about it. How far do you have to go to get the... What's the exact... Is it exactly 600? Yeah, there we go. That would probably be the smarter move, is to go around all of them and clock them all to 600 megawatts apiece, or 240 clock speed. Because then it gets rid of any of these like weird and wacky numbers. You can copy paste, but it's still a huge amount. Yeah, I can copy paste, but I still have to do it 120 plus to 140 plus times. Far too much like hard work. It's much easier to... It was a pain in the ass putting slugs in all of them in the first place. Power shards in all of them anyway. But yeah, clock them all to 600 and you'll probably have an easier time. In fact, I wonder if I clock them all to 600, can I get an even 4 layers? Can we get a full entire new layer out of it if we clock them to 600? 1500. Divide that by exactly 10 is 150. We've been doing 40 per floor. No, we could get 30 on the final floor, but not the full 40. And then I'd have to go around all 150 and manually clock them all to 600. I'm not sure if I can be bothered. Yeah, not sure I can be bothered. It's for the sake of nice, easy to deal with round numbers. I'm not sure I can be bothered. I'm sure there'd be some other error in the simulation somewhere that would cause me mountains of frustration. I'll live with my 120 and be happy with it, because what that will mean is, give it a little bit of time, is that this line should just solid. All apart from the fact I do have one geothermal thing somewhere in the world. Also, I think if you go put geothermal things on all of the geysers, the peaks and troughs of their fluctuation basically balance out to a normalized amount of power generation on average as well. Hey, look, it's starting to happen, look. It's starting to happen. You can see the line is like, and then it's like, oh, okay, and then it goes again. We're getting there. All I want to see, really, personally, is I just want to make sure that all of them are running all the time. So those little ones at the back, where obviously they're last in line for fuel, once those are just solid uptime, which it's looking pretty good on this floor at least. Once these end up with more fuel, and it looks like this number is increasing. So once this final one caps out at 50 spare fuel, we'll have perfect 100% uptime. And as we can see, we're starting to flatline now. It's working! It's working! I did so much figuring out where the flipping problems was. I was convinced it was flow rates, and it turned out to be I had a stupid tier 5 belt for my sulfur, and that was realistically where all of the problems was. I wonder how often this is a thing. Like, I'm quite sure the Satisfactory subreddit and discords and stuff get spammed with people complaining about pipes, but I imagine that 99 times out of 100 it's probably a dodgy belt somewhere instead. Okay, it seems to be, it's looking pretty solid now. I like. Why is the capacity not equal to the production? Is there some biofuel gen somewhere? Possibly. Yeah, it looks like there's 150 capacity somewhere. There's probably some somewhere. But there we go. For all intensive purposes, a nice solid line at the top there now, which is good, which is what we want. My actual consumption of power is dipped aggressively, because realistically the only thing that should be running right now is my nuclear pasta, which means I actually have the opportunity to slap another nuclear pasta down and consume all of that spare electricity. Our battery bank is probably fully charged and reserved as well, so if we tip over the edge a little bit, it might not be too problematic just to get these last pastas. I tell you what, I'm more proud of my oil area, oil and fuel production area, than I am my main base. My main base is just a mess, an absolute mess. But this area, I'm quite proud of. We've managed to, from day one, keep it relatively neat and tidy and organised. And because of that, it looks a lot more impressive. There is part of me that now we've got turbo fuel, rocket fuel, I kind of want some layers of everything. This iodized fuel, or whatever the Christ it's called. Ionized fuel. I wouldn't mind getting some ionized fuel in the mix here as well, because I actually found this dark iron fuel alternative which intrigues me. That intrigues me a lot. It does mean you need to package up rocket fuel first, so that's a hidden, sneaky, large consumption of aluminium in order to do that as well. But it takes 4 dark matter crystals, and I've also now found the alternative for dark matter crystallization, where we then don't need diamonds, so that removes literally all of the coal from it. Just means SAM ore slowly converted into dark matter crystals without any further inputs from anything else. It's just a process. So we could get SAM ore over here en masse, create dark matter, dark iron fuel, take our rocket fuel, package it up. We'd need SAM ore and we'd need aluminum over here. What's the increase in value? 5,000 megajoules per ionized fuel instead of 3,600. Ionized fuel is consumed 3 a minute on 100%. Probably just neater numbers, right? But yeah, there's part of me that's tempted to look at retrofitting my rocket fuel. But I don't know how many power shards we'd actually need to do that properly. If for every 16 rocket fuel we made, we need a power shard. And a quantum encoder only produces 5 power shards per minute. If we were making 1,500 rocket fuel, if we're making 1,500 by now, divide that by 16, we'd need 93.75 power shards a minute to utilize all of the rocket fuel and turn it into ionized fuel. 93.75. We make 5 per minute. We'd need 20 quantum encoders running full tilt. Or 18.75 quantum encoders running full tilt. Obviously, we could slug this. Thinking about what the requirement would then be, that's 180. That's 180. That would be 180 time crystals a minute, which is not easy to do in the first place, considering a convert. Yeah, this is far too much like hard work. Far too much far too much like hard work trying to retrofit the plant. The requirements on that start to get silly. The requirements on that start to get ridiculous. By that point, you should just be shooting for nuclear, surely. Ionized fuel is better suited for the jetpack and drone rather than mass energy production. Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like that. It feels like you can probably... Yeah, it feels like you might use it for personal use, but I think mass scale is going to get real messy real fast. Even if you do this one, which is an easier process because it's got less moving components, you have to package all of your rocket fuel first. So 2 rocket fuel plus a tank gives you 1. So you're actually looking at 24 rocket fuel. 24 rocket fuel plus 4 of these only gives you 10 ionized fuel. Plus you've got the complication of packaging this up first. Is this just so that you can burn straight through dark matter crystals? I guess this is probably how people do it, isn't it? They produce large quantities of dark matter crystals from dark matter, which is a byproduct that they're desperately trying to get rid of in some way, shape or form anyway, so they convert it into dark matter crystals. And then this is a supplementary thing, isn't it? This is designed not to run your base, but to supplement it with extra power as a way to get rid of dark matter crystals, would be my guess for a real end game. But the foundation of your power wouldn't be based on this. I made ionized fuel for the drones as a means of bleeding off the dark matter residue. Yeah, see, yeah, that sounds logical. Make it in small amounts, use it here, there, and wherever it's needed, but not relying on it as a main source of power. Alright. That was an interesting little journey all the same. How's our pastas doing? Let's check to see whether the main base is crumpled, or whether it's still cooking. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the different pieces of the puzzle fit together. And it's very cleverly balanced, I think. It's really cleverly balanced to see just how some materials, you know, some fuel types are more suited for this than something else. That's, you got to remember, that's not easy to achieve. Petroleum diamonds? Wait, what? We can make we make diamonds out of petroleum coke. Oh, finally! I have a use for my petroleum coke. We can turn it into diamonds. 30 diamonds a minute in a particle accelerator. I'm not short on diamonds though, but that is funny. That I've been sinking petroleum coke since literally day one, and I've never found any reasonable way of doing anything with it. Maybe I spin it into diamonds and then sink them, because I reckon these are worth. These must be worth more than the sum of their parts, surely, in terms of like sink fodder. One diamond must be worth more than 24 petroleum coke in the sink, surely. I don't know, I don't even really want to look. I don't really want to look, to be honest. An alternative for charcoal. 1 piece of wood, 10 pieces of coal. I mean, if that was the very first recipe I found in the game, I'd be excited. But otherwise, no, we'll take that one, please. That's fun. Excited to see you tackle nuclear after you finish the game. Whilst we're doing some waiting for pastas, I might start my initial research into nuclear just to try and get my head around what it is and how it works. 400, 500, 600. In you go. Sink points for 1 petroleum coke is 20, so it would be 480, and 1 diamond is only 240, so it's not even worth it. Oh wow, okay. It's really not even worth turning all of the coke into diamonds first. Wow. Clearly they didn't want to give people a cheeky way of grinding points at the end game then. They want that golden nut to be prestigious still. I'm sure there's better ways, but did I switch my power shard machine back on again? I think I had you switched off for a while. I don't really know why I had you switched off, but let's turn you back on all the same. Especially on the basis of the power shards now go into something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, why can't I click on that? What was that new thing we got? Alien power matrices. SAM fluctuators, which we've got automated. Power shards that we've got automated. Superposition oscillators that we have automated. So all of this is automated. Excited photonic matter, we're automating that. Goes into making alien power matrices that apparently gives us a boost down here. So consume a bunch of shit to make a little bit more power. Maybe, possibly. Right, I think I need to start getting my head around nuclear. I've not really researched it all that much. All I knew is that I didn't want to be producing nuclear waste until I had a way to deal with nuclear waste. That was my only criteria. But let's have a little looky. Let's start the investigation in finding out what we do. So we take uranium. Wait, we can make uranium? Wait, hold up. We can make uranium out of bauxite? The hell? Okay, sure. Sinking the ballistic warp drives is probably the best way to get the golden nut. I reconfigured my main base to optimize those after I finished the game and had a stable nuclear power setup. I guess, yeah, I guess the top end components are worth loads of sync points, aren't they? So, uranium. We can either make it with bauxite or fish it out the ground. We are going to need to do a bunch of things to it by the looks of things. We can either use uranium to make encased uranium cells. We have an alternative to make fertile uranium. Or we have another alternative, which is infused uranium. So we've got a few different options on how to use uranium in the first place. What do we got here? Initially creating encased uranium cells with a kicker of sulfuric acid. Take some sulfuric acid to make it in the first place. Sulfuric acid is sulfur and water. Okay. What's the used to produce uranium fuel rods for nuclear power production? So encased uranium cells are going to be quite important to make. What's this? Non-fissile uranium. The 238 isotope is non-fissile, meaning it cannot be used for nuclear fission. It can, however, be converted into fissile plutonium in the particle accelerator. They've clearly been very careful to try and replicate the actual process of nuclear. This is quite clever. Because it's only 235 that can be broken down, and I think it's only 235 that can be broken down for nuclear power. 238 is just annoying. It's just something they have to deal with. But they can do something with 238 to make it into other things that is more useful. With my limited knowledge of nuclear. The flow rate of uranium is not going to be an issue for you. Sorry, I can't help but giggle. It's nuclear. What? Uranium, nuclear. What am I saying? Juggling all the various components of cleaning up after yourself and sinking the plutonium fuel rods will be the main challenge. Oh, okay. So it's more about dealing with the aftermath of making the power than it is making the power. Oh, it's the Simpsons quote. I forget Homer's a nuclear technician, technically, isn't he? I say technically. So this... it can be converted into plutonium. Right, okay, let's figure out what these are first. We need the encased uranium cells. Encased uranium cells... are then used in making uranium fuel rods. So we've got to get the cells first. We have an alternative for making these other than using the encased. Infused uranium. We can add some silica to the mix instead of concrete. Instead of messing around mixing water with your sulfur, you can just straight up use the sulfur. But you then have a requirement of added quick wire to the mix. It does, though. It complicates the inputs ever so slightly, smooths out your ratio of uranium to uranium fuel rods, but it does fix a problem of dealing with sulfuric acid as a byproduct. Although it takes more to go in than comes out of it, so I guess it's fine. You then just need to make 6 sulfuric acid instead of 8. All these numbers are multiplied by 5, aren't they, per minute? So 8 times 5, what's that, 40? So you actually only need to make 30 sulfuric acid a minute. A single refinery can make 50 per minute. Okay, but there is the theory that you have to balance liquids again, which can always be a pain in the ass if you can avoid it. So maybe using quick wire and silica. It does mean you require both quartz and caterium. Quartz and caterium are added to the mix just so that you don't have to deal with sulfuric acid. I don't know if that's a win or not. He's a quote-unquote specialist. Oh, he's very special. Very special. Okay. So this gives us a couple of different options of making the uranium cells to begin with. Once we have the uranium cells, what are we doing with them? We're then taking the cells, mixing them with either some encased industrial beams and some electromagnetic control rods, in essence, to make the uranium fuel rods themselves. Used as fuel for the nuclear power plants. Produces radioactive uranium waste when consumed. So this is where it starts getting sketchy. So we've got a couple of alternatives on how to make... Oh, there's one other thing that these are used in. But we have both the recipes for making the uranium cells. Okay. Uranium fuel rods then. We have both ways of using these. We can pick which one is more preferred. Do we add rotors and crystal oscillators to the mix? Or do we... 100 goes into making 3. 100 plus a bunch of busy work goes into making 3. 50 plus a little bit of busy work goes into making 1. So we get a bonus uranium fuel rod for an extra little bit of busy work, and they then run... They then also make 50% faster. 1 uranium fuel rod is 43,000 sync points. Oh, really? Okay. You can sync the uranium fuel rods in the first place. Maybe I should have been making these for a while already and then just syncing them until using them. Alright, so that's the production of the uranium fuel rods in the first place. That's the first thing we got to consider. Then we need to figure out... So there's a bunch of process in that to get the fuel rods. $750,000 megajoules of energy from a single rod. Nice. Nice. That's a strong rod. That's a strong rod. Okay. That's going to create... What does it do? It creates uranium waste. The byproduct of consuming uranium fuel rods in a nuclear power plant, non-fissile uranium can be extracted, handled with caution, highly radioactive. So this waste, we then got to figure out how to do something with it. We can take some waste and turn it into non-fissile uranium with the bonus kicker of producing a bunch of water at the same time. Do we need... Is it a case that we need a huge amount of water to run the uranium... To run the... Is there not a demand times 1,000,000 on one of these for water in the first place? does require water, 240 a minute. Flipping hell, each one requires two water things. Holy, okay. And yeah, we can take uranium rods. One uranium rod gives us 5 minutes of electricity. And then it's going to produce some quantity of waste that's undetermined right now. But is yes going to consume a bunch of water. That means then that if it's consuming a bunch of water whilst also uranium waste, when we do something with uranium waste, is making some water. It doesn't look as if it's making much though. It makes so little that we might just try and barrel it up and make it go away. I'd recommend starting with 5 reactors burning your uranium fuel rods, 3 manufacturers making the fuel rods, and then 3 blenders making your encased uranium. 1 blender can handle the uranium waste, feeding a particle accelerator. Non-fissile uranium. Okay. You get 50 waste for 1 uranium rod. Okay. So we take the waste. Let me see what we're doing with the waste. We take the waste, we're adding it with silica, nitric acid, and sulfuric acid in order to get this non-fissile uranium and water. That all seems like a lot of hard work, if I'm honest. Alternatively, we can add 25 waste with 100 non-fissile uranium, which didn't we also have a way of producing this a minute ago? Oh, you can only create non-fissile uranium from waste in the first place. This is the blessing and the curse for me of alternative recipes. If I had just a very simple, straightforward this, then this, then this, options makes it hard to figure out where the best path to go is. But so we got to do something with the waste, mix it with silica, add some nitric acid and some sulfuric acid. What makes nitric acid these days? Nitrogen and water. Okay, so we need nitrogen coming in. We need more water. We need iron coming in, producing iron plates for the nitric acid. Which feeds an assembler making encased plutonium, which feeds those to a manufacturer, which makes and sinks the plutonium fuel rods. You'll need a lot of water, nitric acid, and a way to bleed off the excess nitric acid created by the loop. My recommendations above are mostly all default recipes, I think. The key is the loop of the water and the nitric acid and making sure all the basic materials flow without pores, or you'll get a breakdown. We get plutonium pellets from 100 of this non-fissile stuff. So we need to kind of actually share the waste. We need some of the waste initially to make this non-fissile. Once we've made a bunch of this non-fissile, we add it to a bit of natural uranium waste in the first place to spit out some plutonium pellets. Or alternatively, to messing around with silica, we can just mix it in with more uranium to begin with, whilst keeping the requirements for the other stuff the same. So if I don't want to piss around with silica because I don't want to mess around with quartz, which is quite possible, we can use fertile uranium instead by just mixing it with more uranium, which I'm quite sure is going to be easier to deal with because we had to deal with that in the first place. Then that's going to give us a similar amount of the non-fissile uranium and a little bit more water to deal with, but that's fine. I think I prefer this fertile uranium. That makes a lot more sense to me. Plus it has a higher production rate on this. It's going to churn through, one blender will churn through 25 uranium waste a minute. This is the reason I didn't look at nuclear earlier on in the game, because I think there's lots of components that all have quite high power draw to begin with, and I don't think the power produced by nuclear is going to be that great if you do it at small scale. I think nuclear is something that you just got to do big. You just got to go big. So there's a few ways we can process the uranium waste, at least. Something that we can get rid of. The ways that we can get rid of it. We can either turn it into non-fissile uranium and eventually then turn that into plutonium pellets by the looks of things. Is there any more uses for this, considering this seems to be the next? Non-fissile uranium is a way of producing it. Fertile uranium, which is the one I'm already leaning towards. This feels more sensible to me. It goes into plutonium pellets, and there is an alternative. There is another recipe that uses non-fissile uranium that I haven't discovered, but plutonium pellets is the main one then. Once we've got plutonium pellets, we case them up. The only use for these is casing them up with some concrete. I think we had concrete in the mix in the initial stages, so we should have concrete. Limestone's flipping all over the place anyway. There's an alternative for plutonium. We got a bunch of hard drives that we're slowly opening, so we'll see. Once we got our plutonium, it seems to be quite simple to make encased plutonium. There is an alternative way of making the encased plutonium, which I will hope we will discover at some point. Then we add a bunch of shit to it again, and we make a plutonium fuel unit. Either a bunch of busy work, or we just slam it together with a pressure conversion cube, and that makes a plutonium fuel rod. And this is the secondary. And this then produces plutonium waste when consumed. So we've slowly but surely turned uranium waste. We dealt with the uranium waste. Can you sink non-fissile uranium? Mildly radioactive. If you can at least sink this, we might not necessarily need to go the plutonium route just yet, until we've got some stuff up and running. Used as fuel for nuclear plants. Okay. The next step is then... do we have plutonium waste? Plutonium waste is then produced, which is extremely radioactive. We take plutonium waste, slam it with a singularity cell and 20 dark matter, and that produces fixonium. That's the only thing we can do with plutonium waste. Fixonium, you then add a bunch more electromagnetic control rods, fixite trigons, and excited photonic matters to it, and you get fixonium fuel rod and a dark matter residue. Fixonium fuel rods Doesn't tell us how much power they produce. Oh, it does. 150,000 megajoules. But this doesn't appear to then produce any waste. So that's the full scale of it. That's quite fun. That's quite fun. You cannot sink the non-fissile uranium. Oh, okay. I'm already aware that there's a lot of moving components in this. I might need to make a little diorama or something. A little, well, for starters, we need to figure out where the hell we're putting this, because these things are not small by any means, are they? This is the thing. They only produce 2,500 megawatts of power by the looks of things, which means we, like, I need 100 of these. It's not worth doing unless you're doing 100x this, right, surely. Why would you ever want 2,500 megawatts from a single one? You're going to want 100 of these. That's 250,000 megawatts of power once it's all up and running. Because we've already got 100,000 megawatts of power. If we're going to do nuclear, you want it to at least double, if not triple, your power supply, right? Surely. Doing any less than 20 of these is kind of point. Like, you could do 20 of these and it would only double the power that you have right now. So we're going to have to grow big on this, I think. And it could end up being quite a substantial amount of building before we ever consider turning it on. Okay, because they're also huge. Me just being happy I built my 5th coal power plant. It'll keep you going, coal, for a while though. It certainly will. It'll keep you going. There's another 100. I have double the power I use at the moment. Need to fix my steel. I tried to keep that sort of ratio in place. I like to make sure that I always had twice the amount of power needed. Because as you level up, that second half of your power, you'll always end up using it really quickly. And your new power plant will need quite a bit of power to run. This is kind of the loop. This is how it kind of loops up. That you need a little bit of your original power grid to make sure that your new power system works. When you move up to oil, I remember turning on all of the refineries and having a heart attack how much power they all used. My coal choked for a while until it all got up and running. I built it in an area with 4 coal mines. Just one of them is blocked by a rock I cannot blast yet. Oh, I know exactly where you are then. You're down in this lake. You're down in this lake. There's about 4 coal nodes, I think, in here. This is a super duper mega popular place to start your coal adventures. Super duper mega popular place. Really good. Really good. Don't even bring uranium to the factory until you have all of the basic stuff sorted. Concrete, heat sinks, beams, silica, encased beams, electro control rods. All 100% readily available. Yeah, I need to decide where we're going to build this. I need to make a little shopping list of exactly what it takes to run the entire system. Then we need to find a place on the map where it makes sense to do it. So I'm thinking that doing it where we are might not necessarily be the best place for radioactive reasons, but somewhere relatively coastal for easy access to water is also not a terrible idea. This is where where is the uranium? We found there's a uranium node right at the very top here, impure though, it's a bit stinky. I probably wouldn't want to build the entire base around an impure node. This one is what I would consider too mainland to build anything anywhere near here. We're gonna need... what I want to happen is I want the entire plant to be self-sufficient. So I don't want it pulling from any of our like factories goings on. So for example, if we need to make steel, we make steel at the plant. If we need silica, we make silica at the plant. We want it all to be self-sufficient so that no external pull of materials could fuck it all up for us. Now I've not got vision over much further than what we've got here. This little area has, once again, impure. That's real stinky. The only two I have radio coverage on are both impure. Now I'm not convinced my... Oh, what's this one? Normal. Don't forget the iodine-infused masks. Yes. There's no pure at all on the map. Oh, pure uranium doesn't exist. Okay, well that's handy to know before I try desperately seeking it out. Oh, that's the bitty bit at the bottom of the coffee. That's better. Alright, I think I need to decide what sort of scale we're going to build this to. I don't need it to be fair, this first initial playthrough is all about testing and experimentation, so I probably don't need to build it too big. I just need a little system. Maybe that's what we can do. Maybe we can have relatively close to home a small little system so it's easy to plug in and to just get it working, to see how it all looks. Once we see how it all looks, then we can consider going off-site and building something at like proper scale. This playthrough was always meant to be about just kind of the first initial test of something, and hence why we've ended up with this monstrosity of a design, because it's just kind of hacked together so that it just works. Maybe we can replicate that same principle with a little summing a bit close to home, just to get the first mini factory per se up and running. On that basis, I'm kind of tempted to just do it back here somewhere, because we've got the lake over here where we're pulling some water from already. It's easy to pull materials out of my main base for any of the weird and wacky intermediates that we need. I know it's close to home, which might be problematic if I turn the whole flipping zone radioactive, but I'm thinking this lake is going to be big enough to start a basic little summing. A little summing over here, I reckon. Probably not going to be too problematic. And if it all goes horribly wrong, well, we've basically completed the game anyway. And this is a relatively flat area that could be good for building on it all the same. Right, okay. Do I only have 6 rocket fuels left? Oh dearie me. Oh dearie me. I knew not automating those many moons ago would come back to bite me in the ass. Right, quick detour to aluminums. Quick detour, please hold. I've definitely looted that one, right? Where's my... Yeah. Just checking. Numbers work out well with 5 reactors, 3 manufacturers and 3 blenders for main production. Then you'll only need 1 blender, an accelerator, a manufacturer and a packager to clean it all up. 5 reactors. 5 reactors. 15 What's that? 15,000 megawatts of power. Barely seems worth it. But then it's a test, it's an experiment, I guess. Maybe maybe I'm living the life of luxury, having nearly 100k power from rocket fuel. Check out the progress later. Thank you, thank you. We could have horribly burnt the place to a crisp by then, but let's hope not. Let's hope not. Right, just give me all of them. Oh, shit. A normal uranium node fully overclocked lets you do 12 reactors fully overclocked. It's worth it. Okay, one normal node fully overclocked is 12 reactors overclocked. Yeah, that starts to feel about the level I would kind of hope. Maybe uranium doesn't produce anywhere near as much electricity. Oh, maybe it's when you start. Alright, well, we'll see. Ouch, I nearly died. Downloading Satisfactory tonight. Watching you makes me want to play it before Season 2. Oh, Goldston, don't do it. Don't do it. Season 2 launches in 2 weeks. Now, there is 2 weeks is not enough time to get into Satisfactory. Put it on the to-do list. I never openly recommend people to not play video games, but I would not install Satisfactory now. I'm 150 hours deep into this playthrough. Something along those lines. Yeah, we're 150 hours deep into this playthrough. And I'm still not ready to put it down. With Season 2 coming out in literally 2 weeks. It's it becomes very dangerous to install it now. It is quite addictive. Yeah, my Twitch dashboard, because of course I have for the most part streamed most of this. Not necessarily all of it, but my Twitch dashboard has ended up looking a little bit like this since I installed. Can you see when I installed Satisfactory? It's I think there's only one day in the last month where I've not streamed, and we've been streaming 3 hours 20 plus pretty much every day since. So this is what Satisfactory does to you. I wouldn't recommend doing it before 2 weeks before new season in WoW starts, if you plan on playing the new season of WoW at least. You were right, I can stream, the connection's good enough. Nice one. Nice one. I would, yeah, it's upload speed is literally
Jack,
all
the
that
Dipper
matters.
says, look people, this is what we call addiction.
He's not
Hi,
wrong.
Jack. I see you're concerned about our dedication to the game. But fear not, we're simply passionate about building a magnificent factory. A bit of gaming fun never hurt anyone, right? Remember, the factory must grow.
Must. Capital must. Oh, ouch. Oh, that nearly killed me. Yeah, as long as you've got I mean, Twitch doesn't actually even allow you to upload in particularly high quality anyway. And today's computers don't struggle with doing a basic Twitch stream. As long as you've got a graphics card from the last 6 years, you're probably good. Now, you may obviously, if you're trying to run a bajillion different instances of WoW, kind of K-Chak-esque, you might have a little bit of overhead computer-related issues there, but streaming's not that intensive. It was, 10 years ago, but that's when computer hardware was trash. But give it a go. Give it a go. Streaming's good fun. In fact, it's almost too good fun, because I inevitably put significantly more time and effort into streaming than I do anything else these days. It is without question the most enjoyable few hours of my day. You need empty fluid tanks, which means you need to take them from here. And you need to make some rocket fuel. Steal some of that overhead. Give it to me. After watching your first video yesterday, I posted my first stream on YouTube, edited down, of course. We'll watch it in 13 years' time. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite funny. It's a lot of people who have found my channel over the last couple of years aren't really aware that I've been doing this for like over a decade. I took a huge, probably 6 to 7 year break in the middle of doing it all, though. I did a couple of years way back when I made, End of Cataclysm, Warlords of Draenor sort of time is when I started. Then I took a huge gap for many different IRL reasons, and it was only at the end of Shadowlands I kicked it all off again. Was it? No, not the end of Shadowlands, the end of BFA. And of course, I was quite lucky to. I was quite lucky to be able to jump back in and get on the bandwagon quite quickly. Tip number 1: start a Discord. A Discord will definitely help. It's certainly by no means essential, but it will definitely help. Right, this is now fixing itself. They'll replenish my rocket fuel needs. "12 nuclear reactors at 250% will give you 75 megawatts of power." Okay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Rocket fuel is slightly undercooked. This is now wrong, isn't it? $144 times 625. Yeah. As we have it set, though, we're actually only doing 120 by 625, 75,000. So if I was to do a 12 nuclear reactor setup, I would basically double what I have with my rocket fuel. Give me the same again. This is the thing, though. I can see why people skip nuclear. Because setting up rocket fuel to this level, sure, it's a lot of building here. But if you've already done it once, doubling it is so much easier. This is why I was kind of hoping that nuclear would give me like 250,000. I mean, I could, but I'd have to go pretty ham to get nuclear at that sort of level. Because that's not a lot of infrastructure. It was coal, sulfur, and crude oil. The whole thing, crude oil, coal, sulfur. Whereas nuclear, to achieve the same, is going to be way more moving components. Why don't you use the in-game calculator? Because I find... I don't have a number pad, for starters. I don't have a number pad on my keyboard, which means pressing buttons is much easier, and it's slightly more visual on stream. Pressing buttons is much easier than typing out numbers using the row of numbers across the top of my keyboard, and then having to do shift and 8 for multiplication and stuff. It's a pain in the ass, because I don't have a numpad. Right, I think we'll start with a little mini one. We'll start with a mini one just to see how it feels, and then I'll decide if we get to grips with it nice and quick, we can build something a bit bigger and a little bit more scaled. We can use this as a test. We don't need any more power. We're pretty much done, so... You lazy? Yeah, absolutely. That's number one reason why I do most things. Or number one reason why I don't do most things. No number pad, I think I found his worst purchase decision. It's a nice Logitech keyboard. It just doesn't have a number pad on it. And I've spoke about this a little bit before. People are like, well, just get a number pad. Get a USB number pad. Yeah, but where the number pad sits, my Stream Deck now sits. So I've kind of also got used to not having one. Have the TI-83 on the desk. Just pull up the Realm calculator. Maybe that would also work. Quick wire or steel rods? Neither are particularly interesting. Turbo diamonds? Hello? We've just had a diamond alternative. What the hell is turbo diamonds? 30 pieces of coal, some packaged turbo fuel to make 3 diamonds. It's a pretty quick way of making diamonds. Okay, interesting. I'm at the point where I'm just collecting diamond recipes now. Yoink.
Jack the Dipper says, can we ban Pagby? Oh dear. Looks like someone is feeling a bit salty towards Pagby. Let's remember to keep things civil and embrace the spirit of camaraderie. After all, we're all
goblins.
here to build a glorious factory together.
We not be real. We be fake. We be fake goblins. Right, let's go pave the world over this end and start laying some stuff out. Make a little diorama that we can plug stuff into and see if we can get it to work how we suspect it to work. So, I think we're going to build our little area to begin with over here because we've got most resources roughly to hand. So let's start by...
Loot Fever TV says, Stanley, what do you think of people that dismiss their numpad on a keyboard?
Stanley has no opinions
a curious
on the
choice
matter.
indeed to dismiss the numpad. They must be going for a more compact setup. But remember, in the grand scheme of things, the factory must grow, no matter the keyboard layout.
The factory must grow. Right, I think we're going to have This big flipping pillar's going to get in the way, so I'm going to say this is probably going to be our floor level. This means we can run a bunch of shit underneath it. Let's have grip metal, coated concrete foundations. Do we want to do some coated concrete foundation or asphalt? Coated concrete looks nice, doesn't it? Shiny, shiny.
Thusday says, how do you feel about being a pawn in discussions? Being a pawn in discussions can be quite entertaining, wouldn't you say? Just like a game of chess. But let's not forget the ultimate goal, to keep building our factory in Satisfactory.
Oh, look, it's all properly shiny, look. Properly shiny and industrial. Right, we're going to have to get rid of some of this pesky wildlife. Can't have you causing me grief. Thank you very much. We're gonna need some power over here for starters. Let's bring one of you a little bit closer. If for no other reason than it means we can use our this jetpack. Alrighty. So let's say we go in with power nuclear. Consumes water. Outputs waste. Needs a bunch of things. So let's have you lot. You're quite big, aren't you? You're quite spicy. Does your ass hang over the end already? Alright, well you just go there. Hang on, hang on. We got problems here. We got power related problems here. Let's put the proper jump pack on. Proper jet pack on. These things are huge, aren't they? These things really are huge. Well, we knew we were gonna tarmac the world, so how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've put all these down. I'm not convinced if I like the shininess of this. It's kind of, I like the reflectiveness, but maybe not as the floor. You live and you learn. Right. So, 5 nuclear dudes. 5 nuclear dudes. Would it make sense to build a space elevator on another place if you decide it's in the wrong one? The space elevator is an interesting one. You just dismantle it and put it wherever you want. I know you can like belt components into the space elevator, but I've never bothered. I've just put the space elevators in a box and I've delivered them manually. So you can pretty much put it where you like. Pretty much slap it down anywhere. So we're going to have the nuclear reactors back here. It means we're going to need a little bit of pipe work on the front of these for the water going in, the fuel coming, the waste coming out, the fuel rods going in. There's no reason to do any of this with anything other than tier 6 belts. The water, we're going to be elevating it in anyway, so it might as well live in its normal fashion. Probably do need to give us a little bit more room up front. We'll have the water being pumped in this direction. Pumping water up is always a problem, but I guess we'll have to deal with that in a minute. Where's the power connectors on these things? Oh, right on the back? Oh, right here. It's kind of weird how this entire thing just connects through one power cable. Boop. One power cable. Could player housing in WoW be like this, but smaller? It'd be cool. It'd be cool. I just really, really hope Blizzard doesn't make the same mistakes they made with garrisons way back in the day. But I have faith. Little faith, but I have faith. Give me some power for this. There we go. There we go. Makes crafting things a bit easier. Sadly, we have no real water dynamic in the ocean, or a nice underwater nuclear plant would be possible. I mean, that takes water cooling to a new level, right? Surely. Would you prefer a simple or a complex and realistic power system? I think, considering that at the end of the day it's still a video game, keeping it relatively simplistic. I think Satisfactory is probably as complex as you'd want it to be. I don't think you'd want any more moving components, really. There's a nice kiss-curse of risk-reward with nuclear, it seems. The fact that you have to deal with the waste, and the waste can stack up and turn your entire flipping biome into nuclear hazard land, which is not pleasant to then be in, but at least you can do something about it. I think that this already kind of feels like a happy medium. We're going to need to get the waste out. Are we going to... I need to figure... Well, we need to probably figure out how we get rods in, don't we? Before we pipe all of this up. Each one takes... Let's think about water consumption here. Each one is taking 240 a minute. Is that number not, like, ramped up massively when we do this, though? 600 a minute each one's going to take. So that's each... Okay. That's a full pipe. That's a full pipe per plant. A full pipe per plant. Full compressed pipe per plant. What could possibly go wrong with that? What could possibly go wrong? Okay, but that's what we're going to work towards then. A full pipe of water per plant. So we need 5 full pipes of water coming in and distributing their way along to these. Alrighty. That means I want water pipes elevated and out the way. We can do belt work underneath. We might even take... There's part of me that might take... We might produce rods down here, but we might take the waste upstairs. What height are these? I think having a second level that deals with the waste would be a way to do it. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are quite tall, aren't they? My 8 high theory. If we go 9 high and a big boy floor, is then the same height as the top of these. So I don't want to encroach on these. I still want these sticking out the side, but we can build a second layer. We can bring all the waste upstairs, deal with the waste on a second floor, and then maybe we can... I don't know. Playing this by ear. But okay, we need a shitload of pipes, though. Full nuclear plant, one thin wire. Yeah, exactly. This entire wire is going to be responsible for the entire power to and from a nuclear power plant, which is quite funny. Introducing amperage and voltage. This is stuff that the Factorio modding scene has really jumped on over the years, taking the level of complexity and just building it and building it and building it. I've never seen Satisfactory, the modding scene, be as sort of important to the gameplay loop. For example, when you see people playing Factorio these days, 9 times out of 10 they're playing some sort of modded version. Nearly nobody plays default vanilla Factorio anymore. But then the flip side is when you see people playing Factorio, they're nearly always playing the vanilla version. Because the design, the focus of the game is more on the aesthetics and stuff rather than the level of complexity. The reality is most of Satisfactory is relatively simple. You just connect the dots together. It's not really that problematic. That's why they do alternative recipes, so that you can sort of optimize things a little bit more if you want, but they're not going like full sort of full space age crazy level complexity. I think it's good that they've sort of stuck to their guns as well with things like the wildlife not being really much of a problem. A bit of a nuisance maybe, sure, but not really ever a problem. Your factory is never at risk because of the wildlife. I think there's a nice balance there at least. Right, so we're going to need a bank of 5. I hate doing odd numbers. There's part of me that wants to do 6. There's part of me that wants to do 6 just because 6 is a nice even round number. 5 is an odd number. But I don't know if that's going to come back to haunt me. What? Oh. Okay. Feels a bit weird not having the bottom one. When I first started playing, I thought the hogs were going to attack at night, so I built walls around the factory as soon as I could. I mean, if you'd come from Factorio, that's a very logical, sensible thing to do. There's no reason to believe that they wouldn't come and attack you. When you get near them, they attack you, so there's no reason to think they wouldn't attack your factory. Is that the same height? Is that the same height? So the second tier of stacker here is the same height as what this is. Okay. That means we can work from that then. So we won't use the bottom ones. We'll use the middle ones and the ones above. In Finland, do they also troll people's OCD by selling hot dogs in packs of 8 but buns in packs of 6? I've not looked in great detail, but it's the kind of thing I would expect to happen, yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that they would probably do. They would probably do it for fun as well, yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but that's funny. It is quite amusing. Right, we're going to have water pipes running along here and down. We're going to need what did I say? We needed a dedicated pipe for each thing. So that's 6. So that's what, 4? Is it 4? How many is each one of these water doodahs? Water extractor. Oh, each one's only 120 per minute. What happens now? 300 per minute. Oh, okay. So we can still do 2 slugged water extractors per. Okay. 2 slugged water extractors per. Yeah, because the consumption is 600 per. Okay. That's not too difficult then. That means if we have 5, we need 10. Am I going to do 5? I should probably look at seeing how quickly we can make and then consume the rods to begin with, shouldn't I? If we're making basic uranium fuel rods, okay, I'm starting to see why 5 is an easy number to work with, because then that means you just produce 1 rod a minute and you're good to run 5. 1 rod a minute is good for 5, okay. Aha, and the 2 alternative ways of making them are 0.4 a minute or 0.6 a minute. Well, 0.4 a minute, fully overclocked, then makes 1 a minute, doesn't it? If we have 1 manufacturer producing the rods. Let's get a little diorama on the go before we try and figure out where everything goes and where we connect everything up. If we got one of you making rods, the question is do we go with the alternative or the non-alternative? Crystal oscillators and rotors being added to the mix doesn't fill me with much confidence, really, as I think that that's a lot of extra components to deal with, and those crystal oscillators are slow as all hell to produce in the first place, unless you've got alternatives for those too. So let's assume we go uranium fuel rods. We would need that slugged in order to make 1 per minute. That 1 per minute will then produce enough to run 5 of those.
Our Thusday says, how do you like to eat your hot dog?
Your ho dog?
Ah, a hot dog,
Hot
you
dog.
say? I much prefer enjoying it with a side of good humour and a generous helping of sarcasm. Just like building a factory in Satisfactory, it's all about finding the perfect balance of ingredients.
You missed the T out in hot dog. And Stanley then read it out as ho dog. But I think he assumed you were probably talking about a hot dog. 13k plunder to go. 13k is only a few games. That's easy business. Easy business. Oh no, wait, hang on. Are we not going to chunk... If we clock these at 250%, we're also going to consume more than 0.2 a minute, aren't we? Do I maybe not overclock these to begin with? Why at this point in the game would I not overclock stuff, though? One manufacture then. Once these is overclocked, 0.2 times 2.5 is exactly 0.5. That's half a rod. Each factory is going to take half a rod a minute. So one manufacturer actually only runs 2. 1 goes to 2 once we've overclocked it all. 1 goes to 2. So once again, I'm slowly finding out that this 5 is a odd number. A 2-to-1 ratio once overclocked here. Let's see how far the problem goes once we go further back. This needs encased uranium cells, encased industrial beams, and electromagnetic control rods. Now this is where we can decide whether we use some extracurricular materials or we deal with sulfuric acid. Let's assume that we're dealing with sulfuric acid, because I think quick wire... See, now the annoyance is that right here, right now, the quick wire and the silica option actually works pretty well for me. The quick wire and the infused uranium cells work quite well for me because on my train that turns up there, we have silica turning up already by default. We have silica turning up by default. Quick wire is literally produced here. Literally being produced right here. Couldn't be closer if I tried. And there's headroom to improve to increase this substantially if needed. That alt recipe starts to look pretty tasty. So the alternative one here looks favourable. We are making 20 per minute by default. Overclocked, we actually need 50 per minute, so this would need to be overclocked too to get up to 50 per minute. That puts a direct requirement of 62.5 uranium a minute. Well, that's pretty easy, right? That's pretty easy. Because our... one thing I hadn't considered is where the fucking hell we get our uranium from. We can get our uranium from the top of the hill here. An impure node. What's an impure node when it's Mark 3'd? 30. Impure is 30 by default. 60 Mark 2. 120. It's 120 unslugged, right? Is it 300? Is it 300 fully slugged? Mark 3 fully slugged. It's 300. I think an impure fully slugged is 300. So that would mean that we can run 4 of these off a fully saturated unpure node. Methinks. I need to remember that this is actually only running 2. So what we probably want to do is modularize this a little bit. Modularize it so for every 2 of these, we have 1 of these, we have 1 of these. Then what goes into these, we need encased industrial beams and electromagnetic control rods. These we have, by the looks of things, only one way of crafting these. Encased industrial beams. There is a second way, technically. There is a second way. Concrete and steel needs to come in. But we make 6 per minute in an assembler. How many would one of these need? Only 3 per minute, even when overclocked. So this produces 6 per minute by default, so there's no need for an overclock on this in any way, shape or form. And in fact, one of these can do 2 modules if needs be. That's fine. We need electromagnetic control rods. What do these look like? We got 2 options on electromagnetic control rods. Either using stators and AI limiters, or alternatively high-speed connectors. Now, if we've gone both of these require quick wire to produce the AI limiters, which we already decided to bring quick wire in for one of the components. Is it easier to make AI limiters, or is it going to be easier to make high-speed connectors? That's pretty quick wire heavy. We're already using 200 quick wire a minute nearly over here. Maybe we don't want to stress the quick wire too heavy. So maybe we take the slightly lower quick wire requirement. 2 of these, that's 40 quick wire and copper. Maybe we go default control rods, because that's 56 quick wire instead of 40. Plus it requires pissing around with circuits as well. It's just slightly less stators, sorry. There might be some alternatives on this as well. Okay, assembler, electromagnetic control rods. Where are you? The default recipe, I think. That produces 4 per minute. We need 5 per minute, so we need a cheeky little overclock on that. Was this maybe where the other recipe might be better? Let's just double check. This produces 8 per minute by default, which is more than what we actually require. Don't tell me 13k is easy. I just had a 33 plunder match. Did you last 2 seconds though? You open one chest and you get more than 33 plunder. Just run around hunting the gold chests. Avoid others. Hunt down gold chests, you'll be fine. A lot of other players will ignore the gold chests because they don't need the plunder. Steel beams and concrete. Steel beams out of steel or steel beams out of aluminum? Because that are only options. Steel beam out of steel or steel beams out of aluminum. Two landed at the same spot. Yeah, that'll always happen. Level 1s should not be really fighting each other in Plunderstorm, if I'm honest. Level 1s would do better to ignore each other. How many steel beams do we need to run this? 18 steel beams a minute. The default is 18 steel beams from steel. I think I want the aluminium equivalent. Take some aluminium ingots in, which shouldn't be too problematic because we have aluminum supplied. Aluminum's also on the train that's here. Steel, which makes the steel beams. It's less, you know, I don't want to have to be making steel on site if I can get away with not making steel on site. Concrete we got to get in here. Concrete we mass produce and we'll just bring in here. I know I said I wanted this entire thing to be completely self-sufficient, but I'm going to steal resources from wherever I can for this first build, just to get my head around how it works. We're going to move things around a little bit. This is just my diorama to make sure I understand everything. And then that's concrete.
Loot Fever TV says aluminum or aluminium.
How did you get Stanley to
Hardly
say...
age-old debate
Oh, you spelled them
between
differently.
aluminum
Okay.
and aluminium. Whichever spelling you prefer, just remember that in the world of Satisfactory, what truly matters is how efficiently we use those materials to expand our factory. Cheers.
Right, so concrete goes in there. Aluminum goes in there. We're going to need stators and high-speed connectors. Stators, we have, as it stands, only one option. Which is steel pipes and wire. Let's check the numbers on these. We need 8 per minute. We actually only need 5 per minute, so we can underclock that slightly. Let's make sure we do that all over the place to make sure 3 encased beams. Three encased beams needs 9 steel beams. Oh wait, hang on, that makes a big difference to how many steel beams we need. If we only need 9. Only need 9 per minute. Five electromagnetic control rods. Means we need 5 stators a minute. Which is exactly what we produce here. That's very convenient. Is the small little dock at the north side still a good landing spot? At the north side? I mean, there's the southwest dock in Blunderstorm. So we need steel pipes and wire for this one. So let's look up what we need for steel pipes. Steel pipes at the moment, my only way of making steel pipes is with steel. Okay, so I do need steel over here as it turns out, as there is alternatives but I don't have them. Done in a constructor. I only have one recipe. How many steel pipes do we need? 15 a minute. Can we do that off a single? We can. 15 a minute is going to require 22.5 steel ingots over here. I should have changed these signs to say what is needed, shouldn't I? I should change the signs to say what's needed. Can I use a... Just display sign instead. $22.5. And then we can come along and add all of these up. This is needing 9 aluminum ingots. How much concrete is this needing? 18. Okay, we're starting to get a sense of what we need in here now. Steel pipes, we need the wire. I'm quite sure I've got alternatives for wire. Now, how much wire do we need? We need 40 wire a minute, so let's bear that in mind. We would like to preferably do this with one single constructor if we can. Iron, Caterium, or copper for our wire. Our copper wire is going to need some overclocking to hit the 40 per minute. We haven't used copper anywhere else right now. Caterium wire produces a huge amount of it from very little Caterium, which is looking promising. As an alternative, 22.5 a minute from iron means we would need to overclock this to get it working. We'd need to overclock both iron or copper. It doesn't really make much difference here. I might just use basic copper in this regard. Pretty sure we just use basic copper here. Basic copper wire, and if we need that 40 per minute is 20 copper ingots. Okay, is that... oh no, hang on, that's just... what's that for? Electromagnetic rods. Electromagnetic rods, encased industrial beams. So that's this side of the equation completed. Some... you go into... you're then producing the encased uranium cells. 50 per minute is what we produce, 50 per minute is what we consume. That's balanced. Now we need silica, sulfur, and quickwire. Now, as it stands, silica I have on a train. Sulfur we are going to need to bring in from somewhere. Sulfur is yeah, that's gonna need bringing in. What have I used sulfur before? I've tapped this sulfur node, but I can't think what I've used it for before. What have I possibly used sulfur for? Have I used sulfur before? Why am I drawing a blank on what we've done with sulfur? Oh, we've only ever utilised sulfur, of course, for over in the power production. For both turbo fuel and for rocket fuel. I haven't actually used sulfur in the main base for anything, because I never bothered to automate batteries. Yeah, we used sulfur for compacted coal over in the turbo fuel. But in my main base here, I've never used sulfur for anything. So that sulfur node up north that I've tapped way ages ago, I've probably never used it for anything. Huh, that's interesting. You can make sulfur out of flipping iron with the addition of animated Sam. That's quite funny. For now, that might... Unironically, I might consider that for now, if it ends up that we don't need a huge amount of it. Alternatively, I'm going to have to bring sulfur in from up north down there. Okay, sure. 62.5 a minute uranium. Where's my little sign? .5 uranium. Silica. Yeah, okay. Interestingly, we're just bringing things into here. We're not actually making anything here because we make it already. Which makes my little diorama signs a bit pointless, but for the sake of making it look neat and tidy. So these are at least the numbers we need to work towards. How much sulfur was it? 62.5. And then 187.5 quick wire. That's actually quite a lot. Thinking about it, actually, no, because quick wire is made in massive quantities, isn't it? That's actually really not that bad. What was the number? What was the number that wasn't really that bad? 187.5. Okay, so we've got our raw material list for the production of the rods. We need a little bit of steel, a little bit of iron, a little bit of aluminum, a little bit of concrete. The irony of all of this is the only thing we don't need is iron. Oh, we need iron. Okay, depends how we go about making the steel, I suppose. We don't need iron for any of this. Silica comes in on the train. We're going to have to just go get uranium. We're going to have to go get sulfur. And then 187.5 quick wire comes from like directly over there. So the logistics of that is not bad. And then this feeds to 2. So this whole little build is for 2. All of that for 2. But that's sort of balanced and optimized to run for 2. So we've either got the option of building this in a modular fashion, as at least we then know that it's ratioed as long as the material input is fine. Or alternatively, we try and be a bit smarter with things like recipes where we're massively underclocking and have just one of these distributing to more. I think building it modular like this is probably the way to do it. Underclock some, overclock others so that it's balanced. And then, you know, if you need all of this to build 2, make it neat, tidy, make it look fine. And then just bring your materials in and feed it in. And then you split those double the materials, split them for the next module, and so on and so on. But modular builds, I think, probably work well with this because there's lots of moving components. Now, of course, that's just producing the rods. None of that is doing anything that is dealing with the waste. We're going to have to then deal with the waste, which we're going to do on the floor above. We make the rods downstairs. Upstairs, we'll deal with the waste. And then we'll consider what the hell we plan to do if we move into bigger and better things. Okay, it's starting to come together. I think as a plan, it's alright. The layout is a bit scuffed and goofy, but it should work. The thing for me, right, more than anything else, is that the power created by this, huge amounts of it's going to get reconsumed by just the production of it. This is why I was thinking that a single module is 5,000... Okay, it's 12,000 megawatts per module, isn't it? 12,500 megawatts per module. Okay, you're probably using about 1,000 to run it, I guess. Probably less than 1,000, actually. I'm wondering, actually, if we should go even one step further with this. I know I've put these down in ingot form. It might be a smarter move if we go one step further and figure out what is the production of the ingots. Now, I know in most of my places, this is one thing I would absolutely definitely do if I played this game again, is not make ingots on site. I know that sounds a little bit counterproductive, but making iron ingots where I mine up iron ore, for example, was a smart play right at the very beginning of the game, but it makes things like this a little bit more complicated. It would be much easier if I could just bring in copper ore, iron ore, or whatever we choose to make the steel from, because let's not forget we have alternative recipes for even things like steel ingots. So, or we in theory have alternative recipes for steel ingots. But I'm pretty sure there are ways to make steel. You know, I mean, there are better ways. This is the thing. I think I would want to probably bring in raw materials and make sure I'm bringing in enough raw materials, and then I can also make sure that we are producing enough aluminium. We're producing enough steel, we're producing enough of this, and then it means for things like silica, how much quartz do we actually need to bring in? For quickwire, how much caterium do we actually need to bring in? So we just train in, so the theory goes is we just train in raw materials, and everything for nuclear is actually made on site, even from basic ingots. I think is probably the plan of action. Then for your major nuclear build, you're just responsible for training in the raw resources, and everything from there happens. That's probably an easier way to do it logistically. Why bring in steel ingots on a train if you need the raw materials somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe it creates more throughput issues. I haven't decided. Much like concrete. Why make concrete externally somewhere when you can just bring in limestone? Heck, you might even have a limestone node right next to where you build this, right? I mean, I quite literally do. But building, I'm clearly starting to see that building near sulfur, building near quartz, and building near uranium is kind of a bonus. And obviously near water. So actually, believe it or not, this little area up here is probably not that bad. Because quartz, sulfur's here, quartz is in the cave, uranium's on top of the hill anyway. Or maybe over this little section here. North of where we've got aluminum. North of where we've got aluminum, because we've got water. We can pull the uranium off the top of the mountain. The quartz and the sulfur, we've already got a train line running through there. Might be a little bit complicated to retrofit that train line with both sulfur and quartz as well, though. Is there anywhere else that I can see that makes sense? Uranium we've got over here. Sulfur we've got down here. Quartz is over here. I don't know how easy these are to get to. We'd have to build it like here though, wouldn't we? There is so much crude oil in this top area. Pure, normal, impure, impure. Okay, there's a lot of it, but it's not great, is it? There's a lot of it, but it's not. Oh, there's at least. This is absolutely screaming for like a huge, great big rocket fuel production area. Albeit that you don't have the sulfur you need or the coal. Oh, maybe it's not. Wow, they've clearly thought about the map as well in this game. They've clearly decided that, okay, they don't want one absolutely categorically perfect place to build things. Don't forget the 25% steel tariffs or your margins might die. Keep it global. Yeah. True. Massive true. Quartz, uranium, sulfur. Ooh. Ooh. The only issue being is it's pretty landlocked. So water's a problem, other than we have a pure water node. Oh my god, is this like a crazy cool place to put a power plant? Sulfur, uranium, quartz. You got your limestone if you need it. You got your copper down here. You can bring your coal in, sneak an iron in from down here. Oh, this could be a really cool place to build it. Maybe, possibly. You've got everything within belting distance. That's a possibility. I've not investigated these, but it's a normal uranium node as well. It's not a scumbag shitty one. I'm pretty convinced though your throughput issues is going to be water related. I know these are considered pure water nodes, but didn't I decide I need 600 water? Didn't I decide I need 600 water, a full pipe of water per reactor? Okay, that's also another thing that might put me off building this to too big of a scale. That if I need an entire pipe of water for each reactor, that starts to get pretty ridiculous pretty quick. Okay. Well, I'm content with that as a little plan. I now have a lot more of the pieces of the puzzle figured. I need to spend a little bit of time assessing the map. I was half thinking of just like hacking this together to get it up and running now. But I might use this as a diorama. We might build an upstairs to deal with the waste and figure out maybe plutonium and stuff. have this as my template planning area, and then we can choose where we build it. The life luxury of depots and portals and stuff means we can build it where we like. Okay, let me go and quickly check back on our pastas. Are we 300 pastas richer than we were before? Did I hear Slurg? I hear Slurg. He's been staring at me for 150 hours, that dude. I love the disco of these things. I kind of wish I hadn't put these... I assumed this was going to be the top floor of my factory, and then I clearly assumed wrong, as I needed more space. But I wanted these to be like proper disco. I kind of like that they shine through the floor anyway. Oh my god. We're nearly there, you know. 100... 200, 218. Hang on, isn't there like, won't there be 50 lurking in here? There's 50 lurking here. 100, 200. We need 50 more pastas. Oh, we need 16 pastas. Right, you ain't getting any more. Are you still cooking properly? Oh, you've been churning all day. You've been smashing it out the park all day. Oh my god, we're nearly there. Right. In that case then, I'm going to take a quick break for 2 minutes. Stretch legs, grab drink. Feel free to do the same. And then in a couple of minutes time, we should have all the pastas we need. And then that's stage 5. Done and dusted. Let me quickly get another hard drive on the go. Be something cool. Heat exchanger or steeled frame. I need anything that relates to nuclear right now. Oil. More diamonds. Wait, hang on. We just take crude oil and we get diamonds now? That feels like the best recipe yet. Okay, sure. Yoink. Right, get another hard drive on the go. Right, boys and girls, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Entertain yourselves for a couple. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for sticking by. Let's have a little look where we're at. Are we passed it up? Are we fully passed it up? 14? Are you kidding me? 2 more pastas? 2 more pastas and then stage 5 is done. 2 more pastas. Are pastas automated? Are pastas going to continuously create after this as well? I think they are. I can hear them coming. I can hear them coming. Come on, pasta cooker. Pasta cooker, do pasta things. 93%. There it goes. Boom! Maximum pasturage. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Phase 5. Complete. Let's check nothing stupid like a Twitch ad is playing right now. Load the cargo. Seal her in. Now, warning, there is strong chance of spoilerific stuff happening here.
Unsurprisingly, here's another presentation, but don't worry, I have improved it. This last delivery will be the most important action you have ever taken. Perhaps you want to take a moment to contemplate the gravity of your achievements. Alright, that's enough. This is the end of the
That's a Blackadder
program.
joke.
All you need to do is wait for the automated Phase 5 construction to complete. Simply throw the lever and further instructions will be supplied when relevant.
Okay. And this only took 150 hours to do. Send it. Boom. Must not spill coffee. Must not spill coffee. Must complete space elevator. Sonic boomage. Nice.
Phase 5 completed. Return to the space elevator after the resources have been processed and added to project assembly. Launch can then be initiated from there. While waiting, please do not break anything.
Do not
Solve
break
any issues
anything.
immediately and efficiently. Ensure your power network is stable. Perhaps it is best if you do not touch anything at all. And stay close to the space elevator. This will only take a moment.
Is that actually like a spaceship in the middle there that's going to fly off? I don't even know. Or do we literally just wait now? Is that it? Was that it? Ada told me to wait, but I'm not good at waiting. What the hell? We got loads of buttons. Wait, what? Wipe windows, check oil, heat seats. Current instruction, check oil. Oil checked. Set fuel injection level to 5. Stabilizers left and right. A fuel injection to 5. Is anything happening while we do this? Doesn't look like anything's happening. Activate bus 1. B1. Left stabilizer set to 9. Right stabilizer set to 4. Oh, this is literally like NASA. Turn gyroscopic balancer on. Oh, gyroscopic balancer X. Tick the button. Turn Y on. You know there is some Easter egg with doing the wrong things. turning everything on, switching all the buttons. Turn gyroscopic balancer Z on. Final preparations. It's gone dark. Should we send it? Should we send it? Boom! Send it! Kaboom!
Initiating project assembly. Assembly. Attaching cargo to main body.
We should have used a hyper launcher to get up there. Was it going to fly off? Man, research. No time for hard drives.
Leveling inner and outer rings. Attaching propulsion to main body.
Oh, snap. It's all connecting together. Sun, you're too bright. I can't see.
Fuel lines connected. Attaching control center to main body.
Oh, in she goes. Hook it up. I mean, if this isn't adult Lego, I don't know what is.
Running systems check. All systems online. Releasing propulsion cage. Releasing clamps. Running pre-launch checks and calculating flight path.
So where's it
Loading
going?
in cargo.
I should really know this by now, surely.
Launch in T-10.
10 seconds!
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
3, 2, 1. Go on! Off she goes. Be free! Be free! It's not even dick-shaped at all! We built that, boys and girls. Might have taken 150 hours, but we built that. Are you gonna go zoom? Do zooms? You better not, like, blow up my planet. I've worked hard on this. Oh, snap! Oh my god! This is awesome! Forgot to take us with them. Forgot to take me. I did all the hard work. You left me behind. Well, apparently we've saved puppies and kittens. Have we saved puppies and kittens? Boom. Stage 5 complete.
Connection with QAR-437 nucleus established and stable. Dispersion initiated. Reinstancing master nucleus to QAR 436 Akicha B1.
That's
Hello,
got to be
this
code
is
for
Ada,
something.
your new local instance of Ada. On behalf
New
of
Ada?
myself, and all of Fixit, I want to congratulate you on saving the day. Every single kitten and puppy would thank you if they could. You have proven yourself to be a worthwhile and productive member of the human race, and have contributed something to this universe that will forever change it. Thanks to your achievements, the next generation of pioneers can now take to the stars and construct, automate, explore and exploit, alongside me.
Emphasis on
Additionally,
exploit.
you have been promoted to local production manager.
Hey!
effective immediately. Your duties to
Promo.
project assembly may be complete, but your duties to fix it remain. With your help, Fixit continues to make the universe a better place. Stay efficient. Stay with Fixit.
Nice! Do we get some credits on the go? Now we get the credits on the go. That was remarkably cool. I deliberately had made sure that I didn't know what happened when we did that, so that it was fresh and legit. That was really cool. That was really cool. And yes, as people have mentioned, now technically the game begins, where you have. We still have a golden nut to acquire. The game is not technically over yet. We still have the golden nut. We need the golden nut. We got to finish nuclear, obviously. This was just the sort of the story aspect of it. Sip of Joe. Coffee Stain Publishings. They are located in Sweden, right? I'm pretty sure they're located in Sweden. Look at all the Swedish names. So the question is now, do we continue? I mean, obviously there's a few things. We got to get the golden nut. We got to get nuclear. But my next decision to make really is, I know we've got patch 11.1 in World of Warcraft right round the corner, but once we're done with that, do we make a second go of Satisfactory without the chaos that this factory has ended up feeling? We could probably now play through the game in a significantly more organised fashion. I do feel as if I hacked a lot of this together. And obviously there are some aspects we haven't actually explored yet completely. But it's redesign it all now with all the goodies unlocked. Yeah, see, one thing I've been contemplating doing is spending an afternoon or two just collecting like all the hard drives I can possibly find, unlocking every single optional recipe, so that we've got like the perfect world for like just testing, play testing. Even if this save ends up being like my playtest zone for other stuff. I originally completed phase 4 at 800 hours, and then I just rebuilt everything and scaled it up. Back in pre 1.0, I imagine. I'm still in the same save. See, I think I would want to, much like Factorio, I always wanted to play the game again from the beginning. Like, the second playthrough, for me, of games like this is often the best. Because the second playthrough, you know what's coming, you know what's important, you don't have to spend half your time fixing your balls ups that you didn't know were balls ups at the time. So I often think that the second save is often the more fun one, because you've at least seen everything once, you know. 800 hours in a single save, though, is pretty spicy. Started a new save for 1.0, but after completing phase 5, I went back to the first save. Oh, really? Oh, you actually jumped back into that. I mean, I guess it's sunk cost, isn't it? When you've put that much time and effort into an original save. Why did they suggest people make brand new saves for 1 point? I suppose because all the spheres and stuff and Samor and stuff had a purpose, didn't it? It makes sense, I suppose. Well, that was cool. That was a nice little conclusion. That we actually managed to get the ship complete, the ship sent. What can we do with the space elevator now, if anything? Nothing. Project assembly launched. Pioneer's purpose is concluded. Our purpose here is done. We're just left. We're weirdly just left here milling around. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I occasionally get aid of voice triggers where I am long past that actual point. Oh, I see. Okay, all of the... Yeah. That's probably a good reason to go back. Ironclad casings or insulated cables? Wasn't I talking earlier about how I needed... Oh, no, it was wire recipes I needed as an alternative. Give me something nuclear. Iron-coated canisters or copper rotors. I don't really need more ways to make canisters. Although a non-plastic way of... Oh, actually, maybe I do. A non-plastic way of making empty canisters is weirdly useful. Posted my nuclear setup in Discord. It's a Gen 2 design.
Bargott says, "Hey Stanley, what's your favorite Satisfactory building?" Ah, Boggart. Delightful to see you here. My favorite Satisfactory building must be the Mark I miner. Simple yet vital, much like a good cup of tea. Remember, the factory must grow.
Simple yet efficient. Does its job. Absolutely 100% does its job. How many sync stuffs have we got? We got 125 coupons. We are so far away, by the way. If we want to get the golden nut, we are so far away. We kind of need to go on a purge almost. Purge everything. We are not going to purge everything, but that's kind of the feeling it gets. Wow, in all of that time, we made 40 more pastas as well. Must remember to put this back together. The question is do I need pastas in a box anymore? Or are we just sinking pastas? I only need pastas for singularity cells. Pastas don't go into buildings. So we can skip that out. That just purely goes into making those. We don't need this here anymore. Like such. Right, cool. Okay. Well, boys and girls, for now at least, I'm going to leave that there. That feels like a nice natural conclusion to the stream. We got phase 5 complete. We have no objectives. It'd be really nice if that objective in the top right hand corner would just go away now. Is there ever a way to turn that on or off? I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe I haven't found it. But yeah, that's our first full playthrough of Satisfactory concluded. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. All right, Jack, we will raid. We will raid. Calm yourself. We will find somebody to send you wonderful people over to. With it being Wednesday, there is a possibility that I'll be back later on today. I occasionally look at doing an evening stream on a Wednesday. That said, this Wednesday is a little bit different for me because the wife is not at home, meaning I have some other stuff I need to sort personally. I'm obviously now responsible for dinner and walking the dogs and all of that sort of stuff. So we'll see if this evening stream happens or not. I've not decided yet. But be aware, you might see me later. Alternatively, we'll be back tomorrow where we can have a little bit of a look at like nuclear in a bit more detail, see what we need for the see what we need to get that golden nut, start thinking about sinking everything. Just put everything in the sink, potentially. Our stockpiles of everything could probably give us another fair few tokens. See what we consider doing about scaling up now and making things bigger and better. But of course, we've also got 11.1 to think about in 2 weeks from today. So we're going to need to spend a little bit of time on the PTR for that at some point. And I should probably assign a couple of days to make sure that the Goblin Guide is updated with all of the new info. But yes, thank you very much for joining today, boys and girls. We will be back tomorrow. Let's see if we can find somebody to raid into. I still have a real issue with that I don't particularly know the Satisfactory community all that well. But let's have a little bit of a look at who we can find online. Satisfactory live channels. Who we got? Aussie Gamer. Aussie sounds fun. Fluxo Builds. We raided into Fluxo Builds the other day. It'd be nice to share the love around a little bit. Who else we got? I want to try and make sure I don't accidentally pick somebody in German, for example, or French. Seems to be quite a variety of people that enjoy this game and they stream it in their own language, which is cool to see. Satisfactory Sky World. Let's have a little look. Modded playthrough. If you haven't seen Fluxo, I highly recommend you do. We raided into Fluxo the other day. Maybe we just send you guys over to Fluxo. He focuses on the more aesthetical stuff, from what I can tell, making big builds, lots of architecture going on. So we'll send you over to Fluxo. I think we raided into him the other day, and he his camera had crashed. So let's send you guys over there. It looks like he's just started his stream. Boys and girls, thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you next time. Peace.